Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a new project. These tanks are not completely solid, but they're pretty darn solid with ice. To the point where I can't get the drain valves open. This one's pretty solid. As you can see, I can't make that water level bounce. So these are not at the point where they've cracked anything yet. But I can't get the drain valves open. I meant to drain these when it was warmer out, and I forgot about it. These sit behind the fence quite well, and they're quite easily able to slip a person's mind. So I suspect when these freeze rock hard, they are going to crack. And that is it for the rain barrels. This one's already ballooned out. So we might have to replace these totes next year, unless I can manage to get some heat on these and open up the drain valves. So I've got my power supply here, the 5 kilowatt heater, which is portable, and that's going to blow on the drain valve. The tanks aren't totally frozen yet, so I'm hoping if I can get the drain valves open. Showing here about 7 amps. I'm hoping I can get these thawed out before they crack. Probably not going to thaw out the entire tank, but at least if I can get the drain valves open during the day, it's still above zero. They should be able to drain out. Maybe I can just in the nick of time catch this before it gets too bad. Well, the Vevor heater saves the day. It at least got it warm enough to open up the valve there. Here the tank is creaking and cracking. It's relieving the pressure off of it. I'm going to go ahead and pull these reducer ends off of here and let her buck. I'll tell you, this thing saved the day just in the nick of time. Since I am dealing with water here, I've put the power supply and that on top of the heater. And, the exhaust is not hurting it or anything. It's not even touching it, so this thing's just creaking and cracking away. Hopefully the tank's not cracking. It's just relieving a bit of pressure there, but those can drain out now, and we'll probably get a few more warm days yet, and the rest of that will come out of there. Was planning on using that water for the trees. These cedar trees need as much water as you can give them throughout the winter. Now, I wasn't planning on storing the water for the winter, but I was planning on giving them a good douse before things really freeze up. And I forgot all about it. So this is what we're dealing with. Luckily, I caught it. Well, and luckily, I was able to just sneak another little bit of length of hose on here. And I should be able to douse these trees with a bit of water here anyhow. What a foolish mistake, but sometimes things slip your mind, I suppose. You live and you learn. She's sucking air pretty bad. There's a bit of an ice plug in there because the tank was completely full. So she's that'll hopefully all melt out of there. This other tank is creaking and cracking here now too. Oh. I suspect those drain valves might be pooched. We'll find out in the spring if this thing still holds any water or if it's cracked. So you'll have to hit the old subscribe button to see what's going on. Well, I may have caught these just in time. This tank is kind of sucking down on me here now because there's not enough air in there to allow the tank to breathe, so that's not great. Might have to get the longer hose for the heater and heat up that intake before I let this go any farther. Well, luckily that last tote over there, I didn't glue any of the top fittings in, so I was able to pull those off and relieve the air pressure. That one's draining just fine. This one's draining pretty good too. I've got the hose hooked up to this one now, but we're drawing a vacuum on this tank also. So I got no other choice but to cut her with the hacksaw. I'd rather lose the top plumbing here versus losing the tank itself, because the plumbing is relatively cheap. So instead of replacing $500 worth of tanks, we'll replace $50 worth of piping. And I'm working on this next tank here. Looks like we got a bit of a drip there now, so that valve might be freeing up. It's still relatively stiff, so we'll have to let the heater work its magic for a little while longer. I suspect I'm going to have to cut this pipe as well. Fortunately, all this stuff is going to be compromised, but it is what it is. Looks like it busted the threads. She's gargling air in there now. Oh, there we have it. That tank's pretty well empty. This one's still kind of water in the trees a little bit. I figured I'd try and give it a bit of a go there. And we got the other one. The other one heated up and it was starting to draw some air. I just put this heater duct. Got this long heater duct, and I put it on the top there, and it melted the ice. I guess I didn't glue some of this together, so I could disassemble it if needed. So just gonna have to hook the downspout back up so that it's away from the house for the winter, and we should be good to go. The rest of this piping I'll deal with in the spring. Well, there's a quick update video on the mistake I've made. Now, normally I just open the drain valves on these tanks, and they do get some ice in them, so I'm confident now they'll be just fine. Everything's gone back to normal. The top of the tank, the bar has bent down from drawing a vacuum. Again, my fault, so I'll just bend those bars up or flip them in the spring. Probably just bend them back to straight, I guess. And the caps, this center tank, the cap is stripped out on it, so I'll have to order another one on Amazon. And most of the pipes are savable, so we'll deal with all this crap in the spring. Well, yes, this was a bit of a disaster, but we managed to save the tanks. And the best part is that one heater has paid for 2 heaters, because to replace these 3 tanks would cost about $500. And the reality is I just saved these tanks from cracking. All 3 of them are now pretty well empty. And so that one heater saved the day, and it's paid for itself and one other heater. So the heaters cost a little bit over $200, about $230, somewhere in that range, depending on when you get them, if they're on sale or not. So I mean, that thing just paid for itself and then some. So it probably paid for the 5 kilowatt, because that's the one I used, the 8 kilowatt, and a little bit of the 2 kilowatt by saving these tanks. So what a great purchase. Great heaters to have around for things like this. Now, maybe you have a plumbing issue in the house that you could use that heater to save the day with. You never know. Glad I got this before. It's only about -5, so I'm glad I caught this before it ended up being -30. So thanks for watching this little segment, and we'll see you on the next one.